If you get empowered in the unions, that leads to political empowerment in the community.
No para uno, pero para todos los Latinos, right? And we are pivoted in the House of Labor.
What is a union? A union contract really means and represents for a Latino immigrant workers having a voice and having dignity, and that is very special. And I think that not many Latinos and not many immigrants know that, the history of the labor movement.
So you're going to take me memory lane. In 1968-69 was the rebellions. It was led by the Young Lords Party, which was like the Puerto Rican revolutionary nationalist groupings. And the Young Lords Party used to have people organizing in labor.
We were underrepresented in my own organization, right? And I come from the United Federation of Teachers in New York, right? And you would say, wow, that's bizarre. How could in New York, where there's tanto Latinos, right, be underrepresented?
The East Coast was the Puerto Ricans, right? And the Cubans was mixed between New York and Florida and Jersey. And then west of that was Chicano, right? It was Mexican American west of that. And you saw them from Henry Gonzalez, Hank Gonzalez, the original presidents, right? In that period, the role of labor in New York City in the Latino population was very strong. And hence you have people like Maria Portalatin in the United Federation of Teachers.
So I am a product of Maria Portalatin, opening the door and saying to all the Latinos at the United Federation of Teachers, you gotta cross through this door.
Maria Portalatin is one of the founders of LCLAA. Actually, the first woman president of LCLAA should have been Maria. No, so I'm standing on her shoulder.
Like today we have Yanita, right, as the national president. To me, I call that, I'm proud of hell for her, because what she represents in the history of LCLAA.
I came to this country as an undocumented worker. And I started working in different jobs in LA. And as such, I was able to see firsthand the conditions of workers, which was a surprise for me. Coming from El Salvador, I never expected that I was going to find such a bad condition for workers. The common denominator was that they were immigrants, they were women, and most of them were undocumented, just like myself.
LCLAA was the one always saying, if we need all these immigrant workers, and we do, we need to make sure that we provide them with the respect, with the workers' rights, with the human rights, and with the civil rights that they deserve. And we also push internally in the labor movement to make sure that immigrants are welcome. So that was a top priority for all of us, and is a top priority for LCLAA.
LCLAA was always involved in immigration. And I think what we were able to do was to raise it up, because not only was it immigration, we tied it to trade and free trade. And we demonstrated how free trade was actually a causal factor of migration. It has to be fair trade. And we really stuck to that point.
When the first free trade agreement, the North America Free Trade Agreement, we were very vocal in the opposition of NAFTA.
We brought in the environment at a time when the labor movement wasn't clear about whether or not it wanted to be in this space.
Earth Justice has worked with LCLAA in a variety of issues. Among the most notable one are protecting farm workers from toxic pesticide exposures all across the country, shutting down toxic detention centers for immigrants across the country. We've also worked together on a variety of issues pertaining to chemicals in the workplace, paint strippers and how that affects painters in particular, but also other building trades.
LCLAA is unique, right? Because we put workers at the center and at the front of every issue. We cannot fight for workers' rights if we don't have the power to change anything, like politics, laws, right? If we have the power to vote, then we have the power to fight for workers.
The opportunity to speak about those issues is great. It opens doors, not only to me or the current members of LCLAA, but future members of LCLAA, especially to young Latinas.
Como inmigrantes, las mujeres
tenemos aspiraciones, sueños y que es un país de oportunidades, pero las organizaciones como LCLAA abren y empoderan a las mujeres.
LCLAA allow me to see what's happening around me and how I can be like part of that change.
LCLAA represents an idea that brings together different people, hopes and vision to move forward as a community.
I will carry the labor movement in my heart and soul as long as I live. And I bring that every time I come to the table for any organization that I work for.
I will always be part of the labor movement. Those values are with me. Now that I'm with mi familia Bota, I always ask the question, what does it represent for workers? What does it represent for labor?
We're going to continue to organize. We're going to continue to mobilize. We're going to continue to be a thorn on the side when we find that things are not fair and not right. We're going to fight for equity. We're going to fight for justice.